I don't know. It's hard to say, but it can be scary as casters against a comp like Druid, DK, Warrior. They're very resilient.
It's kind of those things like it's harder to set up again as the Mage Moonkin later in the game. Usually in the opening you have all your procs, you have all your trinkets, everything, so everything kind of plays it out for you. But if they can live that, then it becomes much more scary. They're just putting some early pressure onto Revo, like 68 onto Versace, trying to get some damage onto Mageiden. Dannycarry got deep there. Looked like they were going to try and swap to him, but he displays her beast in LOS, and Mageiden's taking quite a bit of damage. Had to trinket there. Solar Beam comes onto Danny. He doesn't get locked out. He throws the bash onto Asbur there to stop him from cycloning and puts him into a cyclone of his own. And this is looking completely different than the game we saw earlier.
Yeah, this is such a better opener for them right now. Actually, Dannycarry hasn't used any cooldowns whatsoever yet. Revo and Blackjeff both in very, very good shape. Mageiden actually getting the bop there from Versace, and Dannycarry now finally caught into the Hodge, and they are going to swap over onto him, and he's going to pop that Bark Skin. He's in bear form, so he's going to be A-OK. Still has his Trinket and Ironbark and NS available.
Yeah, and Dannycarry's going to escape that swap. Revo gets cloned on his recklessness, so it's unfortunate for him. He's not going to be able to get the burst off that he wanted to, and Versace's got the Avenging Wrath, so the Mage and Moonkin should be fine. He does get cloned up, as I say that. I believe it was stolen by Revo, or sorry, by Blackjeff, so he threw that back on him, and he's pressuring Mageiden as a result, puts him into the Stormbolt. He's going to get the blink off cooldown and get away, but both melee are just training him pretty hard. He gets freedom. He goes for the deep on a Danny. He doesn't have Barks. He's choosing to trinket right away, but Mageiden is at 50%. He's trying to push in to stay offensive as Danny's dipping lower and lower, now into the half bash, but Mageiden into execute range, almost getting executed right there. He's going to survive with that ice block as well as cold snap, and Danny is starting to feel the pressure.
Yeah, that's true. Dannycarry's rallying cry is about to fall off, but he's going to be able to top himself off, and Mageiden's still in a lot of trouble right now, down to 40% HP. Versace are still caught in that clone. Mageiden almost into execute range, gets offensively cloned by Dannycarry. At the same time, Versace bubbles. The clone being swapped over onto Asbur actually got reflected there. So beautifully done by Dannycarry, stopping those heals from Versace onto Mageiden while it's up. And looks like Dannycarry is still going to be the target of choice. They're not really making too much happen. They're probably going to just try to swap over on him. And because of that, Dannycarry knows he's scared. He's just getting in stealth form, waiting for his cooldowns to come out, waiting for that trinket to come back up. His Ironbark, or his Barskin is available. Ironbark almost is available. And he knows he's basically the target of choice. They're going to be trying to swap on him over and over. He's going to play ultra conservative. And because of that, it's going to be hard for them to actually kill him.
Ooh, Mageiden got gripped on his blink. It's going to be hard to get back to Dannycarry here, and Mageiden's feeling the pressure, 50%. Versace has to use the Avenging Wrath to heal, but Asbur finally getting some big Star Surge crits onto Danny. The Cenarian Ward doing a decent job to heal through, but it's going to be fading here. He gets the Nature Swiftness and the Iron Bark. He's saving the Bark Skin, but he got cloned up at low HP. I think Blackjeff might have stolen the Cyclone. He throws it right back onto Asbur, and he's AMSing offensively onto Mageiden to avoid getting rooted. Dannycarry should be able to top himself off. He's going to have his Trinket in 30, so he should have it for the next swap here if he can LOS long enough for Mageiden to get in line of sight. Mageiden trinkets there. He blinks Blazing Speed. He's trying to catch up to Danny, but Danny's going to blink to the other side of the map. And like you're saying, he's just camping the bear form, playing really far, max range. And finally, he's caught in the deep freeze. They're swapping to Revo, though. He trinkets immediately out of that Hodge to pressure Mageiden. Dannycarry manages to dodge the Ring of Frost. It's not going to come down, and he's still feeling a lot of damage. Revo got caught into a clone at the end of his Blade Storm. Danny trying to fake cast some counters, so it's possibly back here. Just loading up the Hots. He doesn't want to run into the open. Versace stunned up. Mageiden stunned up as well. Trying to get the pressure rolling. They still need to force another block, and they need to do it before the cold snap comes up.
Yeah, Blackjeff and Revo are doing an excellent job stopping the deep sheeps onto Dannycarry. Dannycarry once again goes into stealth, bashes Mageiden, is going to disperse behind a pillar, or blink behind a pillar rather. Here comes the deep ring. Are they going to be able to stop him? Nope, he ended up getting kicked on that Ring of Frost, puts him into a full polymorph, and now Revo in a little bit of trouble, has to pop that parry for a little bit of damage reduction as well as the Enrage regeneration. He's going to be able to heal himself up a little bit there. Dannycarry throwing all of his trends out. His team's going to be okay because of that. And if we look at Dannycarry's cooldowns, he still has really everything available to him to keep his team offensive. And Mageiden taking a lot of damage right now, still the target of choice. Versace popping that Avenging Wrath to give himself some additional healing, trying to desperately get out those heals onto Mageiden. And Mageiden is almost at a point where he has his cold snap up. He's going to have 2 ice blocks available. So he's going to be safe for a little while.
He got charge stunned up there on his blink. He's trying to push into Dannycarry, but Revo and Blackjeff are just not letting him do it comfortably. Versace's wings are going to be fading. He's caught into the stun for the remaining seconds. Mageiden feeling the heat. He Blazing Speeds back to kite and get healed up by Versace. Asbur now getting swapped to here temporarily, but Revo's not going to be hitting him for too long. He doesn't want to feed him that extra damage. Asbur rebuffing now as well, trying to get their damage rolling for the next push in onto Danny, but he's going to have his Trinket. He has his skin. He has his Iron Bark, and he's repositioned away from Mageiden. Unfortunately, he's running back. Maybe they're trying to Master Reflect the Deep Freeze, but it's going to come in regardless. He pre-Iron Barks before he gets stunned. Versace got bashed up. The Frozen Orb comes up. They're trying to kill through the Iron Bark. 40% HP remaining. Barkskins as well. He could just go down. He gets the Nature Swiftness off with the on-use trinket, able to heal himself up, but he used all of his cooldowns.
Yeah, he was playing a little bit greedy with that Barskin. Did have the pre-Ironbark up, but he ended up having to use everything. Like you said, he has no Trinket, no NS, no Barskin, no Ironbark for the next swap, so that could be big trouble. He's going to have to be at a pillar, make sure he keeps hots on himself, and he's going to hope to God that he can get in bear form before the next stun. He's just going to stealth right now, but Mageiden still a target of choice. Pulling back. Looks like they're trying to pressure Versace a little bit, but he's going to be okay using that freedom to get away. And now onto Dannycarry they go, but Dannycarry is caught in that stealth. He pops all of his Trents. He does get Hodge, but he pre-Trented all of that, so maybe those Trents will be able to keep him up. He has some hots on himself as well, and he's getting bursted down quite a bit. He still doesn't have the Ironbark or Barskin available, but those Trents, I mean, that was a wonderful play by Dannycarry, though. He knew the damage was incoming and was able to pre-heal it.
Yeah, and Dannycarry caught into a really DR'd bash from Asbur. Maybe a bit of a waste. He got reflected on the Cyclone. Versace got cloned up by Danny there as well. His Avenging Wrath's going to be fading. The clone getting... I'm not sure how Mage ended up getting cloned there. Might have been stolen, but there's a Hodge onto Revo, a clone onto Danny. Sonaring Ward comes up before the clone was reapplied. It should be able to heal him through the damage reasonably well, and he's going to Displacer Beast back to the box here, but he gets deep frozen. Asbur trying to catch up here. Seems like they're pressuring Revo. The Star Surges are coming in onto him. 50% HP, 40% HP. Danny uses the Swift Man. He gets cloned on the regen. He trinkets immediately as a result and turns the pressure back onto Mageiden with the Recklessness. He blinks back defensively with Versace. He needs to get healed up right here, or surely it's going to be his block, almost to be in execute range, using his first block now. His Cold Snap did come up earlier. Asbur just getting caught into all these Cyclones. Dannycarry being relentless with the CC. Mageiden trying to push in, trying to get something done, but Danny has both of his skins again.
Yeah, Dannycarry is playing this beautifully. He knows that Revo and Blackjeff are such a tank. They're both such inherently tanky classes. It's going to be hard for them to get a kill, especially if they can stop any deep sheeps or rings. It's going to be hard for Mageiden to really get anything going. Now that we're at a point where it's dampening, Mageiden is just going to be getting chunked down all game like he has been. It's going to be very hard for Versace to actually keep him topped off if the Avenging Wrath does come up. So these cooldowns are going to be important for making sure Mageiden gets his health topped back off, but at the same time, he's just dying. Like, Versace's sitting down for a drink, and this might end up costing Mageiden his second block. Versace now caught into the full fear out of his drink. Mageiden doing a beautiful job kiting away, just trying to avoid as much damage as possible right now, but both Revel and Blackjeff are going to connect on him. The bop comes out from Versace, it instantly gets dispelled. He's going to blink away. That was the Save by the Light proc there, and they're just slowly whittling away their cooldowns.
Yeah, Mageiden Blazing Speed's back. Dannycarry into the Deep Freeze. He did pre-Iron Bark and pre-Cenarian Ward Revo, so he's going to be able to sit through that Hodge comfortably, and he reconnects onto Mageiden. The clone got stolen by Blackjeff, thrown back onto Asbur. Mageiden's taking so much damage. Versace's having a hard time. Now he's put into the full bash. Could be the second block here. He blocks at 16%. I'm not sure if Revo's running Shatter. Doesn't seem like he is. They're just going to swap over to Asbur, make Versace have to heal 2 targets here and wait for the block. The DR stun onto Versace now into the full Cyclone up from Dannycarry. Blackjeff AMS is offensively. Unfortunately, he was caught into the root before it. Mageiden Blazing Speeds gets the Deep Freeze. I'm not sure how much they're going to get done, though. Dannycarry instantly Barkskins into the DR Hodge. They're trying to 100 Danny right now. He gets the Snaring Ward up on himself. 30% HP remaining. He's managed to line of sight. Now Mageiden on the back foot needs to retreat. He's getting chunked. He blinks back. He gets gripped on his blink. Almost into execute range. Heroic Leap comes in. Versace's having such a hard time healing him. A good clone onto Blackjeff from Asbur here, trying to peel for Mageiden desperately in his time of need, but now Versace into the full stun. He's choosing not to trinket. Mageiden's going to take a lot of damage as a result. He blinks away to try and kite both of these melee. Versace pops the Avenging Wrath. He should now finally be able to recover.
Yeah, but Dannycarry still has his trinket available if he's the only target they can really kill. He's just getting into stealth. The bash comes out on Asbur from Dannycarry. Pre-Ironbarks himself for any incoming stun, just playing ultra conservative. He knows he doesn't have Barskin up for another 10 seconds. He does have trinket, and I think if he does get stunned, he'll end up trinketing immediately. But Blackjeff and Revel both being relentless on the Mageiden. The full stun comes out onto Versace, and Mageiden could be in a lot of trouble here. He doesn't have block for another 21 seconds. He needs to live until that cold snap comes out. Dannycarry taking a lot of damage, though. The recklessness comes out from Revel. Both teams being so aggressive. Dannycarry is going to be just fine. Mageiden in a lot of trouble, having to retreat, and Versace's mana could be an issue at this point. He's just having to spam out so many heals as his DK and Warrior have so much uptime on Mageiden, just doing an incredible amount of damage onto him, still hovering around 60% HP, getting chunked down. Dannycarry now into the full deep freeze. They were able to stop any follow-up CC on him. Revo getting Hodge, it's get dispelled by Dannycarry there. Mageiden at 50% HP, the clone coming out onto Versace at the moment, the full asphyxiate. Mageiden might have to block, he has Cold Snap up now, finally. But he is doing an excellent job kiting, but as much as he's kiting, they're not really able to get anything done. They're just so on the back foot at the moment, they can't get any pressure really rolling.
Yeah, and he's still dipping low. He throws up the Frozen Orb to try and get something done onto Revo, but with no CC onto Danny, he's easily going to heal it. Throws up the Iron Bark. Mage in desperation mode into execute range, gets the block off in the nick of time. Dannycarry positioned very far back here. He should be able to avoid any swap. He's sitting in cap form, makes me think he's going to try and even go for a drink. Now finally sitting down as the Mage and Boomkin team are on the back foot. Revo gets rooted. Blackjeff rooted as well. They throw the Solar Beam onto Blackjeff as well to just lock him in place permanently. He gets cloned up for 1 second. Defreeze onto Dannycarry. Mageiden's trying to get the ring, but he got charged on it. He blinks in for the poly. He gets locked out on it. Dannycarry's going to escape, and now that he's not crowd controlled, they can pressure Mageiden. Mageiden, realizing that immediately, is going to back out. Cyclone's thrown up by Asbur. They're going to wait for the deep freeze to come up, wait for the next push, but it seems like every time they go, Dannycarry's just this unbreakable wall.
Yeah, it's because he can play so safe. He doesn't really have to put too much healing onto his team, and now Versace caught into that full asphyxiate, into the charge stun, into a full fear. This could be Mageiden's life. He does get bopped. So instead of bopping himself, he chooses to bop Mageiden. I'm sure Jeff's trying to spam Dispel as much as possible. He's not able to get it off. Revo having to pop that parry, though, try to avoid some damage on himself. Dannycarry still has all his cooldowns ready to go, though. The offensive clone coming out from Asbur onto Revo, trying to deny some heals. But as Asbur pushes in, Dannycarry just bashes him, and he's going to put him into a full Cyclone. And he has no trinket, so he is caught into that full Cyclone. Well done by Dannycarry there. The full stun goes out onto Versace, the asphyxiate. Mageiden just still kiting, using that Cone of Cold to drop that Frost Trap on the ground. They will be snared while they're walking through that. And now Versace is sitting down to try and attempt to get some mana. But Dannycarry says no, pushes in, puts him in a full Cyclone, and Mageiden's still in a lot of trouble. He just hasn't been stable this entire game.
Yeah, he pops the Amplify Magic to try and help Versace. His dampening is at 41%. That means Versace's healing is 41% less, and you can see it now as Mageiden gets chunked. The Pillar of Frost out from Blackjeff, but they're swapping to Blackjeff. He's got to be careful. He uses the Death Pact, and now they swap over to Revo. Dannycarry's caught in the CC. He's sitting in that even further. Rallying Cry barely coming out. Danny gets put in the poly. 10% HP remaining. Mageiden and Asbur trying to pull it out in the last remaining seconds here. 12% HP remaining. Iron Bark and Sonaring Ward come up. 1%! He's still alive, though. Danny spamming out the heals, trying to keep Revo offensive as Mageiden doesn't have any blocks for 20 seconds. They have to get a kill before that point. Revo going for the Blade Storm to try and connect onto anyone, but he's panicking. It feels like 20% HP remaining. And Dannycarry into the full Hodge with no trinket. It might be the end for Revo. He throws out the Fear in desperation. 9% HP, 2%. He's going to go down to the Ice Lance from Mageiden, finishing him off here at 46% dampening.
Wow.
Yeah, and at that moment, I mean, Mageiden's block just came, or his Cold Snap just came off cooldown. Versace's bubble just about to come off, so they were going to be pretty stable, even going into around 50% dampening.
Yeah, I'm just showing you guys real quick a replay, not of the kill, but how low Revo actually got before, just before dying. I mean, he actually dropped down to literally 1% here. 1 freaking percent. Survived a little bit longer, but it just wasn't enough at 43% dampening. Yeah, what can you do? Dannycarry having a lot of issues trying to keep his warrior up there that deep into dampening, but there it is. Like you guys said, that team was on the back foot all game long until they made it happen at the very end. So it is a best of 3 series. I'm gonna go ahead and ask Revo's team what map they want next. As a TSG, I feel like they probably want like a smaller map, like Ruins or maybe even Dollar End Sewers.
I think Ruins will backfire on them. Like, the only reason Danny doesn't just instantly die is because he can line of sight behind the pillars. So I almost think that, you know, it's kind of interesting. They might go with Tolvaron maybe, Tiger's Peak, something a little bit more stable of a map. Runes of Lordaeron, I think Blade's Edge Arena and Runes of Lordaeron are probably considered the most unstable maps. One with a lot of weird line of sight and another one with none. So as far as map choices go, and Dannycarry knows how to survive for a really long time, so I think they should go with something like Tolvaron. Just get a bigger map, kite it out.
Yeah, they actually ended up choosing Dollar End Sewer. So like you said, they want to avoid that Ruins of Lordaeron like turnaround, but they wanted a smaller map. So just checking for Revo on something real quick. Okay, we're good. So the next map of this best of 3 series, boys, is going to be on Dalaran Sewers. Alright, welcome to Dalaran Sewers, a smaller map, but not necessarily as scary as Ruins of Lordaeron, like you said. But it's definitely going to let this double melee team get on their kill target a bit easier than the Grand Arena. But here we go, it's a best of 3 series, and Placeholder Name is in trouble of being sent down to the lower bracket in just one more loss.
Yeah, and they're already throwing out full hots onto Blackjeff. Feels like he's going to get pressured this game a little bit more by Asbur and Mageiden, but Recklessness and Pillar of Frost coming out onto Mageiden. Versace pops the Avenging Wrath to try and answer those cooldowns immediately. It's going to keep him topped off. Mageiden already at 4 Icicles if he wants to go for a swap. He pops the Icy Veins. He gets bashed on his Blink. He has to Trinket. He deep freezes Danny. He's trying to fake cast the interrupts to land a ring here. Instead now just swapping to Danny. The Ice Novas are coming in. He's taking an immense amount of damage on the staircase here. He's going to have to line of sight here shortly. He gets the Nature Swiftness off. He's going to escape with his Trinket and Ironbark, which is a better situation than we've seen in the past so far.
Yeah, and I mean, they really weren't able to get, this TSG wasn't really able to force anything with their cooldowns. All they really got was Avenging Wrath out of Versace. The Bop now coming out onto Mageiden, trying to keep him aggressive. They want to ride out this pressure on the Revel right now. Dannycarry caught into the full deep freeze, will be able to follow it up, and he will get fully sheeped, so this is such a better opener for Supatease fan club than they had last game. And Revel under a lot of pressure right now, having to pop that Enrage Regeneration. Dannycarry finally out of CC, going to throw up that Ironbark as well as Scenario and Ward onto Revel, going to be able to top him off. Mageiden taking a little bit of damage, but he does have that sacrifice out from Versace at the moment. All 3 trends coming out from Dannycarry, trying to keep his team hyper aggressive here, but Mageiden is completely fine at the moment.
Yeah, and he does get locked out on Frost, finally going to end the lockout there, trying to build the Icicles up. Hodge onto Revo, deep onto Danny. That's the cross CC that this team needs to be looking for a little bit more often. Unfortunately, not going to be able to land the ring. Mageiden getting pressured. Versace's going to come out of the stun, though. Should be able to top him off. Asbur looks like he's maybe going to push in and try and get a clone into Danny. The last time he did it, though, he got bashed and put into a Cyclone from Danny. He's trying to get it, but Danny's just going to max range it. LOS, he's just letting his melee tank out the damage and pressure Mageiden as he knows that he is the primary kill target. Versace choosing to Trinket there, popping the Avenging Wrath to heal through the Pillar of Frost that got popped by Blackjeff to put on some pressure. And now Danny, though, caught into a deep freeze behind the box. He might go into the full poly. The full poly lands. Hodge onto Revo. Good cross CC. They just need a little bit more damage. It doesn't seem like they have it yet. Mageiden going for some more polys. The damage denied by the Stormbolt onto Asbur. Versace's trying to spam denounces to help his team out a little bit. Mageiden gets locked in the poly, going for a ring instead. More of a defensive Ring of Frost, but Revo's just going to Blade Storm and walk right through it. Blackjeff AMSs and walks right through it. Mageiden's still feeling the heat.
Yeah, both Druids this match are actually playing Typhoon, which is a difference from last match. Asbur and Mageiden doing a good job. Mageiden will sit on the edge, and Asbur will actually knock both melee off, so it can be hard for them to connect if he's doing that. But Mageiden down to 27%, gets gripped into 6%! Almost dies without blocking, finally gets that block off. Versace not in any CC, going to be able to hopefully top him up, but he comes out a little early at 50% HP. He might regret that. They're trying to get some damage on the Dannycarry, but Mageiden having to play super safe, and Asbur actually knocks them both down with Mageiden down there. But it looks like he is going to get topped. He's going to be okay. Blackjeff having to use that AMS, not going to have that for a while, but DK is inherently a very tanky class. He can use that aggressively and not be too scared.
Yeah, Refo popping the Recklessness now into Mageiden. Versace into a stun, but Danny in a stun as well. He actually trinketed that deep freeze. He predicted some incoming damage right here, and he priest and Iron Warded it with 3 Trents, and he's going to be fine because of that. It's an opening, though, for Mageiden and Asbur. If Mageiden can somehow stabilize. Nice Typhoon onto Blackjeff and Revo by Asbur, knocking him down below. Mageiden's going to LOS the potential Death Grip. The Save by the Light proc, though, and that's looking a little bit worrisome for Versace as he used the Avenging Wrath here, and Pillar of Frost is going to come up in 20 seconds, and that's when a Death Knight's burst is at its peak. He throws Versace into the stun, Asbur into a stun as well, trying to cross CC both of them so they can't get peeled as they push in onto Mageiden, but they're swapping to Danny. He's going to have to use the Barkskin in that stun. It should be enough to bide the time as the defensive Stormbolt comes onto Asbur, and Revo's really allocating that stun onto Asbur constantly. Whenever they go for CC, he stuns Asbur, but another Typhoon comes down, but Mageiden gets Death Grip down below. He's got to blink back, but that's a good answer to the pressure here as Revo goes for the Blade Storm.
Yeah, Mageiden with freedom, blazing speed, and blink is exceptionally mobile. It's going to be hard for Blackjeff and Revo to really connect to him, and they're doing a great job using that freedom and Mageiden's time of need to get away. Dannycarry having to use that Ironbark on himself, trying to swap over onto him. Again, the Master Flight comes out. Looks like Revo's going to be taking a little bit of pressure, but Mageiden down to 32%, 13%, 19%! And another very scary situation. He's not going to have a block for another minute when his cold snap comes back up, but Dannycarry in a lot on the full Hodge. The Deep Freeze comes out, Rallying Cry, but this is the end of him. He's going to die. I mean, he had NS, Barkskin almost available, so that was... They needed to kill there, and they did.
Yeah, that was the opening when he trinketed preemptively earlier. Dannycarry pushing out maybe a little bit too far. He was caught in the center of the map, inside of the waterfall, actually, and just got erased. Deleted? Is that the word you would use here?
One of those. Yeah, that was really impressive. Mageiden, he was definitely in some trouble, though, coming out of that block a little bit early, but they saw their opportunity to go on to Dannycarry with that Hodge setup, and they made it happen. There it is. Alright, so Supatease Fan Club is going to take that series 2-0, and up next we have that Turbo Warrior.